All right, so tonight me and Randy are going to talk about anger, again, emotions of normal people. And again, we're going to touch up on the topic of anger because the whole planet is going through a lot of emotions. And anger actually happens to be one of the cycles of grieving. And the whole planet is grieving something. And we've been grieving a lot for the past couple of years. And a bit too much violence has been happening in this country for the past couple of years. And it is exhausting. It is exhausting, and people are sad, people have anxieties, people get angry over that. And the main message of tonight is I'd like people to understand that anger is a normal human emotion. But expressing that anger, it's not normal to throw your anger on someone. Now, there are situations where we snap in anger or frustration. Frustration and anger, that's a bit of difference between frustration and anger. But to take your anger out on someone and to destroy life, that's not right. Even animals don't do that. Animals, they only hunt when they're hungry, right? So throwing your anger at someone and taking a life, and it is not just taking a life, because that's quite extreme, although we've had a lot of this happening lately. Expressing your anger, snapping like that, it's not to your advantage, and it damages the relationship. And when you snap in anger like that, it disengages, you disconnect from the part of your brain that makes the rational decisions. That's why some people call other people being emotional, because when you're emotional, you're not in tune with that a part of your brain that makes rational decisions. And the truth of the matter is that it only takes a second or two to cause damage, to cause pain, right? So we're humans, we're evolved. We ought to know how to manage this anger the best way we know, understanding that feeling the anger, it's normal emotion. The biological body is being gifted with the capacity to feel anger for the purpose of defending your life if you're in danger, right? But throwing your anger out at someone, that's not the purpose of anger, not at all. And you as a human, you have the ability to manage this, to recognize that you are feeling angry and kind of go, oh, I'm feeling angry. Take a breath and take a rational decision of what you're going to do next with that anger. Yeah. And all of us are overwhelmed. I mean, emotions are skyrocketing, unmanaged emotions for the past. And a lot of people are doing a lot of destruction, killing other people, killing children because of anger. And I'm not going to focus tonight's topic on those people because these people that resort to these extremes, something is not right with their health. They're not healthy. For them to have to do something like that, they're not healthy. But what I can say to you, a normal human being that are watching this, is that you do have the capacity to do something about your anger. Understand that anger is a normal human emotion, and that you can recognize, the first step is to recognize that you're angry. It's like, I'm angry. Take a breath and another breath, and then realize that, well, you're angry, and give yourself a second. I mean, kind of give yourself a timeout, like parents give timeout to children when they throw a tantrum. Well, as an adult, you're not going to throw a tantrum, but you can give yourself a timeout. And what that means is like, wait a minute, I'm angry. And then you begin to consider, what's your next step? Take a rational decision. And what are you going to do about your anger? Are you going to pause and take a breath and down-regulate that explosive emotion? Or better not say anything, better not do anything just yet, because there are simple techniques to dissipate that anger. So consider the long-term ramification of what you're about to say. And I know this is challenging. And all you have to do is take a few breaths in between. The anger is quick. It's an explosive type of an emotion. And once you understand that, then consciously take a few breaths, and by those 2 or 3 seconds of an additional 2, 3, 4 breaths, you are giving your brain a chance to figure out a more appropriate response. Yeah? Not that you are going to know exactly how you're going to respond every single time, but only by pausing and take a breath and another breath and another breath, you will see that you'll become more flexible in your views. Because when you have anger, it's most of the time, you think that the anger is caused by others because others didn't do what you think they should have done. And then you become angry, right? So, well, when your life is in danger, you're supposed to be angry and you're supposed to run. You're supposed to defend yourself. It's as simple as that. But when your life is not in danger, when your boss is mad at you, when you have an argument at home with your significant other or parents or kids or whatever other angry, take a breath and go into the listening mode. Now, that's probably the last thing you want to do when you're angry, to begin to listen. But that's, again, taking a few breaths, down-regulating, and then shifting into the listening mode. It's going to give your brain the opportunity to shift into a rational decision-making mode, right? Because what you perceive that is wrong, sometimes it might not be as strong as you perceive it at the moment that your anger begins to explode. So if you keep that explosions to yourself for the moment, later on you can take appropriate action. Yeah. There is a difference between allowing yourself to feel the anger and then expressing the anger, throwing your anger at someone. And most of the time, when you feel the anger and you allow yourself to feel the anger, if it's, well, if you're at work with your boss, I don't know if you can do that. But other than that, if you can say, I'm feeling anger, I need a moment, and walk away and then come down, that's going to be the best response. But not throwing your anger on someone. I said, not saying, well, you said this and you did this and then you made me angry. Nah, we all feel anger and it's normal to feel anger. Again, do not throw your anger on someone, right? because there are ways that you can learn to share your thoughts and your feelings in a calm manner. If say, I'm feeling angry, I need a moment or two. And if the other person keeps on talking and talking and talking, let them do what they need to do. You do what you need to do. I'm feeling anger. I'm feeling angry. I need a moment. And then you do a few breaths and then you go listening mode, just listening. I'm feeling the anger. I'm feeling it. I'm not throwing it at anybody. It will make such a difference in your life, right? Because not throwing your anger on other people and not hurting other people, we know that's a no-no. Yeah, that's the wrong thing to do. But feeling the anger, it's all right to feel it. But then don't get angry because you feel the anger. So it is complex. I mean, we're not going to solve the anger in tonight's podcast. I'm not expecting that. And if you're expecting that, might as well click next or escape or turn off your device, because we're not solving the world's problem of anger. But also when we are triggering anger, that goes very deep into our beliefs and values. Yeah, what we believe to be true and what we value, right? So understanding that other people have different beliefs and different values is always going to help you greatly. Yeah, and any difference in values and beliefs and any difference of opinions, well, we're supposed to have different opinions because we're different people. If everybody would have the same opinion, things would be very, very boring. And I think boredom is dangerous, right? Because a lot of people, because they're bored, then end up doing a lot of destructive things. So everybody's allowed to have their opinion. Well, not to throw their anger on you, and you can communicate nicely. Please don't throw your anger at me, on me. Let's talk about it. You feel angry, I feel angry. What does it feel like when we feel angry? And you divert, and then all of a sudden you might just have a fruitful conversation. It's like, oh, this is what I'm feeling when I'm angry. This part of the body, and then this part, and it goes to my whatever part of your body goes. And then the other person can say, well, this is what I'm feeling when I'm angry. It goes to this part of the body and that part of the body. And hopefully you can laugh at it a little bit, and diffuse the situation. The smile or laughter will diffuse the anger very quickly. And you want to do that. Because in the short amount of time you've accomplished so many things. You allowed yourself to feel the anger. You acknowledge that other people's beliefs and values are different than yours. You allow the other people to have their own opinion. You shift into the listening mode. You might even just say, I'm feeling angry. I need a moment. And then you go have a moment and do your breathing techniques. Just breathe down, right? Breathe, because breathing takes you right into the present moment. And anger takes you in a future. Yeah, anger takes you to the future, like something was done wrong, right? So breathe, come back into the present moment, into your body. Yeah, you're not harmed unless you're in physical danger, and then you run, you exercise your anger, and then continue. Because to have anger do the damage that it's been doing lately,
Well, I think Carmen got dropped off. Looks like it. She is. She's coming back. This is technology. There you are.
I clicked on something. That's what I clicked on. So, all right. So we're gonna let Randy have his perspective on anger, and then I'll come back, and then we are welcoming your questions, and we can give you the best advice that we can in a generalized way, because every single person has their own processes, and one advice might be good for another, but then everybody needs their own details addressed. And in a general situation like this, we're not going to be able to address every single detail because we don't know your individual processes. When we happen to be with clients, we get to know the clients and we get to know their processes, and then we can better address it. But yeah, go ahead with your questions. And Randy?
I think, yeah, just what I wanted to add just a little bit was that anger probably is one of the most seductive emotions we have. And what Carmen is talking about is, for lack of a better description, your garden variety type of anger that all of us experience daily, not daily, but all of us experience in life. It's going to happen. Something's going to make us mad. There's just absolutely no way to avoid it. And the trick is to not let anger become the owner of your emotions, basically. These people, and I am not making any diagnosis, I'm not making any recommendations. I obviously do not know these troubled people that have done these horrible, horrible killings. So I am not making any kind of suggestion about their mental health or no mental health or the diagnosis at all. This is just generally speaking. What seems to happen, and Carmen's probably more aware about this than I, but is that people, one of the things that seems to be a common trait is these things are planned out for days and weeks and weeks. I was reading that this shooter in Chicago, in the suburb of Chicago, he planned this attack for weeks. It was not something that he got into a fight with somebody about, decided to go kill some people. He planned it for weeks. Well, what that tells me, without diagnosing them, but without knowing them, and that's the way it is with all the other shooters. They plan for weeks. They post things for sometimes for years on social media. He has for a couple of years, and all the other ones have too. They always post horrible clues. They are basically in a trance. They're in a long-term, overwhelming trance that only hears from anger, that only looks at anger, that only reads angry things, that only reads and listens to things that makes them angry. It feeds this beast over and over and over. It takes over their emotions. That's a trance. That's not being able to control what their emotions are. They get out of control. Well, I take that back. That's not a trance, but they're in a trance-like state in the sense that they are hyper focused on one thing, and that is how pissed off they are or how they've been done bad or something, whatever it is for them individually. But that intense focus creates a long-term trance that goes on for maybe months or years. So one of the ways that we stay out of getting into that kind of trance is to do exactly what, in my opinion, to do exactly what Carmen was saying, which was look at positives, look at the beast is there. We all get angry, of course, but we can avoid feeding that monster by just what Carmen said, taking some breaths, taming it down, and then also doing some other self-hypnosis that's very casual in the sense that there's more to life than just being pissed off about something or somebody that somebody's doing. If I want to find out things that are going to make me mad, it would take me about 5-10 minutes on the internet and I'd be rageful. But I can also look, and or on TV even, I can also look at things that have gone well, blessings that I see, people trying to help other people, like Carmen, people that I know respond in crises, and see this part of human nature that's there. That puts water on that fire, doing water, puts water on that fire that anger creates. The people that feed that anger over and over and over are the ones that get into major trouble. You agree, Carmen?
Yes, I definitely agree with us. And another trouble that, another insufficiency that we happen to run through is that we don't reward the positive emotions. And what's the definition of reward? When we get angry over something we don't like, or we think something is wrong or whatever, we reward that by the sheer fact of getting angry at something. We are rewarding that something, right? By criticizing something, we are rewarding that something. And we don't have a habit, a lot of us, well, I do, but a lot of people don't have a habit of rewarding the positive emotions. We're just so focused on the negative, as Randy said. And we need to become conscious of it and consciously choose that today you will. Let's begin with 3. Every single day, you're going to be grateful for 3 things. And you're going to have 3 positive things that have happened throughout the day. You're going to note to yourself 3 positive things. I do that with couples therapy. I begin with 3. So you two have just 3 good things that are positive in your life. Because the more you begin to look towards positive and not as much negative, but what's positive, look towards ease, right? That's ease, right? Look towards ease. When you begin to reward the positive emotion, you're going to become friends with your amygdala, so to speak. The amygdala, it's a little part of your brain. It's the size of a very tiny. I don't have an object. It's very tiny. It's a tiny little part of your brain that regulates your emotions, your flight and fight response. Now, if a person would not have that part of the brain, the amygdala, they would not be able to defend for their life. They would be a potato, a tomato, they would be an object, right? So amygdala, you want to be friends with your amygdala, and you want to retrain your automatic response mechanism, your reflex, your reactionary reflex when it comes to things you don't like or things you don't agree. Because when you reward something that's positive, you are retraining your amygdala, so to speak. It's much more complex than what I'm making it sound right now. But in simple terms, by rewarding all of the positives, you are going to retrain your amygdala, right? And I'm not talking to scientists because it's much more complex than that, right? So think of it, this reward, this new behavior, think of it as an app that you have on your phone. You download the app and you have a bunch of apps on your phone, and then you go use the app or don't use the app, right? So you download this app that says, oh, I'm going to reward the positives. And then you say, well, what are the positive emotions? Happy. That's about it. Well, there's more emotions than positive and than happy. And even happy has a gradient in between from 0 to 100. And you don't have to be at 100 to be happy. You can be at 20 to be happy. You can be at 2 to be happy. You don't have to be at 100% happy all the time. I don't think we can be 100% happy all the time, right? But something is not right if we're 100% happy. People doing drugs for that, right? So, but besides happy, we have joy, we have gratitude, enthusiasm, amusement, interest, hope, gratitude, a lot of gratitude. So optimistic, pleased with something, delighted, right? So do a Google, do a search on the internet, and then type in positive emotions. And then as you begin to look through the words, you're just gonna find us like, oh, I'm feeling those emotions often throughout the day. Yes, you do. Yes, you are. But there is something about those positive emotions that have a light weight to them. It's like they lift you up. And then when you're lifted up, it feels as if you're not working hard on something. Well, let's work hard on being lifted up rather than working hard on expressing anger and focusing on anger and criticism and all that, right? And studies have shown that it takes only 1% of the population in a geographical area to change consciousness. And it begins with you and me. That's all. 1% in a geographical area. And then as you do that, without you knowing and without physical evidence, you give permission to others to do it. To say, hey, here's the ugly of the world, because the whole world is going through a lot of ugly right now. But here's the beauty. There is still beauty in the world. There is still some sort of happy. There is a little bit of amusement or delighted or charmed or grateful or optimistic. And even in the horrors, all of the horrors that Chicagoland went through yesterday, there is a lot to be grateful for in that, right? As hard as and it is hard. It is hard. Reward positive emotions. And this is not going to happen overnight. And you're going to forget to do it, and you're going to go back to your default and going to criticism, going to anger and throwing your anger on someone. No dumping your anger on other people unless they're hurting you, unless you have to, your life is in danger. Yeah. But even in that, you fend for your life. You don't go attack someone. That's we're not going to solve the world's anger in tonight's podcast. But what I want you to take out of this for tonight, anger, it's a normal emotion of normal people. It's okay to feel anger. It's not okay to express it. Not everything that you feel gets to be expressed and thrown on others. it doesn't work like that. Humanity it just doesn't work like that. And there are people that do it, and they hurt other people and they kill people and they get thrown in jail, and there is a justice system to take care of that. And in addition to that, you can pray for that. But I want you to become that 1% of population in your geographical area that has positive prayers, that looks for the positive in today's world. There's just so much negatives going on lately. One too many, if you ask me. That it's a bit too many, especially in this country. But find something that's positive and make a habit out of that, and allow that to reprogram your meta programs, your subconscious reactionary responses. Randy?
And I would just add to that too, is that just be aware, have some mindfulness that media, and not just social media, but television, movies, perhaps internet too, thrive on drama. That's what creates viewers. That goes back to Shakespeare. I mean, it goes back to Homer, I guess, the Iliad. That's the fundamental drive of literature is drama and conflict. And if you get into a trance, you can get into a trance by getting absorbed in that, thinking that that's the way life is, that it's either a full-blown conflict where people turn over tables, and scream and yell and act like primitive animals, or you're a victim. And that's what I think, being absorbed in the media, television, all the news, the internet, everything else, can put us into this long-term, low-level, low-grade trance that there's just, that's the way. And just be mindful that the media loves conflict because it creates viewership, because people like to see people fight and they like to see conflict. Started back with the Iliad. I do too. I'm not above that, of course. I like to see, but that's artificial. It is an artificial life. It's an alternate reality that does not exist, basically. And that there are lots of ways to deal with conflict that have nothing to do with turning tables over, screaming. I remember, but if you find yourself having those thoughts and find yourself wanting to hurt and being angry, then you're in my opinion, you're in a trance. And a hypnotist would be a good person to get you out of that trance, in my opinion. And it may be other factors. I'm simplifying it, but there could be some of that. When I was doing couple therapy, I learned a great technique from this Dr. Richard Stewart. Couples will come in, as Carmen knows well. Couples come in, they sit down, and you say, "How can I help you?" That just lights the fire. That's just putting a match to the gasoline, and some therapists sit there and go, "God bless. Wait a minute. I'm sorry I asked a question." What Dr. Stewart did, which was really interesting, is he would say, "Now we're going to get to all the problems that y'all have in a minute, because I know both of you have a whole laundry list of what the other one is doing wrong. But before that, let's start this way. Mr. So-and-so, what do you hope?" This is a very interesting question. "What do you hope in the end that What are the things that your wife or your partner is doing that you hope never change, that you love that they do? And it totally turns the trance off. It puts them in another frame of mind. And half the time, but 90% of the time with me, they'd be, what? Say that again? Would be like, well, I haven't ever thought of that. And they haven't. So my point about that is that those feelings can become a sort of reality that's not reality, if that makes sense. It seems, and I read the internet just like everyone else. I read through Facebook sometimes, frequently. And it takes about, I don't know, Carmen, how many you have. Somebody will make a comment. Somebody will say, I finally figured out what was wrong with my, what was wrong with my bicycle. And there'll be two comments. I'll see this constantly. There'll be two comments, great, wonderful. And then it starts. Well, you wouldn't have had this problem if, well, I would never do that. Well, other people do it this way. I did it this way. That you should purchase this because that's going to keep that from happening. You should. I wouldn't have ever done that. How stupid are you? It's about 2 or 3 sentences, and boy, you just get you read a lot of that, and it sinks in subconsciously. It really does. It sinks to your subconscious, and all of a sudden you're angry, and I'm not even sure why. That's why doing what Carmen suggests and what every hypnotist who's worth their salt would say is put some positive things in your subconscious too. Look, not just go out and say, oh, how beautiful the world is, but you can look for beauty. What I do on Facebook is I have 3 or 4 places, 3 or 4 feeds of art that they share every day. So I get at least 4, 5, 6 postings of art that's modern. Some of it's art deco, some of it's just art in general, some of it's expressionistic, and it is so beautiful. It's so wonderful. I see some of that art. It's just absolutely, and I'm not Picasso. It's just absolutely breathtaking. It's just amazing how beautiful some of that art is. It's just amazing. Well, I don't go around saying, oh, I love art, get into a tutu and dance outside that I'm so happy because there's art, but I do put it in my mind so it filters down. So that's just one example of it. So yeah.
That's wonderful. Art is definitely here to suit the soul. The right art for the right people. Art is subjective. Something that I do to tame the negativity over there. It's kitty cats, and I've learned that the algorithm, if I click on something other than kitty cats, the algorithm will bring me something other than kitty cats, then I don't click on it. So kitty cats, they relax me. Even though I have 2 of them at home, they still relax me. But another very important part of this, a lot of negativity and anger and emotional reaction. There are people that are not well. There are people that are manipulative. There are people that push your buttons and so many, I don't even want to say all of the negatives. But what has happened lately, and especially so much more so since the pandemic, is this what I like to call the fame virus. Becoming famous, it has become a thought-feeling virus. It's almost a trance. Like social media begins to count and give you all kinds of numbers. How many people liked it? How many people didn't like it? How many followers? How many viewers? How many this? And then since competition, it's an innate attribute of a human being, of an animal and a human being, then people go about it acquiring more of these numbers to feel good about themselves. That has posed a big danger in a society to a lot of people, because a lot of these people that have picked up a gun and went out there and shot people, most of them care to become famous, to be on TV, to be acknowledged, regardless of how they get famous, of how they get acknowledged and all that. And that is a sad reality of the lives that we're living nowadays. So acknowledgement it's very important, and it's very important to acknowledge the other person, not liking or disliking. So we go like and don't like, as we're going to argue forever, you know. Or the Democrats are saying it wrong, and the Republicans are saying it wrong, and who's saying it right and who's right. That's always going to be an argument, and it's always going to be a lot of heated emotions in there. And sometimes you can do that for fun, and you can have some entertainment, but there is a quota of how much of that to do. So look up some art, look up some kitty cats, take some people off your list, put some people on your list. As simple as that, because the reality is that try to live without social media. Well, you kind of want social media to keep in touch with your family. I mean, this is how I started having social media, to keep in touch with my family back in Romania. And if I don't have that, then I don't know how they're doing. And recently, somebody in the family just baptized their little daughter. So it's a way for me to participate from the distance, of course, in what's happening, and keep track with all of them, because there are a lot of them in my family, right? But being driven by fame, being driven by the number of followers, and even thinking that those people that have the most followers are doing it right, I don't know about that, because right is relative. Is it right for you? What is it that you need to do? And can you do that without 1 million followers? Of course you can. Of course you can. I mean, I don't even have 1 million followers. I'm doing what I have my gifts to give, and I don't even care about my name being displayed all over places. I care about my message being displayed, creating ease, create ease. But when I came out with this phrase many years ago, people were barely using the word ease. A lot of them didn't even know what ease was. They thought ease was easy. What? No, ease, it's a verb, it's an adverb, right? So everybody in life, what we look for is ease. Well, in many different formats: happiness, joy, laughter, gratitude, inclusion, being loved, being respected, being appreciated, being accepted, forgiveness. Yeah, it's a different form of ease. So we're all, that's what we're looking for. And even these people that are angry and they explode in their anger, they're doing that because they want to attain ease. So ease, it's very important. And ease and easy are not the same. Creating ease, attaining ease takes a little bit of an effort. Takes a little bit of an effort. It's a little bit of training and retraining. And I have those practices that I have, like the 5 standard practices, and I have 2 formulas for that. I've been running them around for a long time. And although it may seem like, oh, I've heard of it. Oh, that's simple. Well, simple is significant. Simple is significant. If all we do all day is respect, nothing else but respect, then we have a good life. If all we do is respect, because when we begin to disrespect and when others disrespect us, this is when trouble begins. This is when pain begins. This is where a lot of heated, explosive emotion come about. So simple is significant. And if other people have a different opinion and I say, oh, that's what you do? Oh, you're looking at art over the internet? Well, yeah, it makes me happy. What do you do? Well, I go argue with people. Does it make you happy? Oh, it gets me excited. Do you get excited over the beauty and the positive of life? Like, yeah, let's go do something positive. Let's help build. Or do you get excited over when you see the destruction? Because it's true that the media, a lot of movies, they use anger in a form of movie, and they make lots of money out of it. They have anger in there. They have people killing people. They have lots of assault firearms and the things you can never phantom. And then that's what's trendy. But you can turn the TV on PBS. You can turn the TV on This Old House. You can turn the TV on HD. I watch a lot of HGTV. It's very calming. And even the music that they put into this movies, the music is such that it triggers anxiety. Even I run away from it. It's like I don't need it. There is so much heavy, there is so much suffering and ugliness and bickering and we still have wars going on nowadays. Enough is enough. And if you as a 1% can do something to add to the collective, do it your way in a peaceful way. Yeah, in a peaceful way. If you find someone to do it peacefully with, then you do. And if you don't, then you don't. People are going through a lot of things. People are grieving lately. There's a lot of grieving going on lately. And we don't grieve only the loss of a loved one. We're grieving lots of things, especially with pandemic. We're grieving a way of life. We're grieving things we've lost, and we're grieving that there's so much adapting that we have to do into the current life, into the current. So many changes that are happening. The laws are changing. We're grieving the old way. There's the woman, they had freedom and the freedom was taken away because the law was passed. I mean, it is a lot going on. But consciousness has evolved, and I keep talking about it, and I can be a broken radio on a broken record on it. The evolution of consciousness, it's very, very real. And although what we see at the surface, it looks like a mess and like a chaos, there's things that are happening underneath that are propelling humanity towards the better, that it's on its way. And I've been wanting to do this webinar for a long time. This is going to be a many-hour webinar on the evolution of consciousness. There is a model that has waves of creation, waves of consciousness, and 9 different waves and 9 different. It's a mathematical model that once understood, once presented, once understood, you have the capacity to tie it in and to view the current event as like, I see. Because the old way of imperialism, the old way of power and suppression and domination of my way is the highway, I'm the boss, you're nobody, or the slavery and other things, that way is being disrupted so severely that it's becoming so clear now that people in power are holding on to the power for the dear share of having power, but not for the purpose of being of service to their fellow beings, because they're government employee and the role of the government is to take care of the people, right? That's becoming very, very evident. It is unfortunate that we still have wars going on, and people have to pick up, people have to die, and a lot of destruction. And they say that before everything organizes to a higher level, to a more evolved level, is going to go through chaos. And what chaos is, it's not that it's good or bad. Well, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad in chaos too, but chaos is merely a lack of recognition of pattern. Because we have been going through a lot of chaos lately. You think you know something, and then all of a sudden you don't know it. And you thought, oh, this is the way it goes, and then all of a sudden it's changed and it goes differently. Yes, that's chaos. And it's going to be chaotic for a little longer. And what you can do to help you through this chaos, when it comes to emotion, acknowledge that you have an emotion. Quietly in your mind, oh, I'm having an emotion. Oh, emotion. Name the emotion if you have a name for it. Name the emotion. And if it's a negative emotion, do the breathing. There's many more techniques, and we're not going to solve it in this podcast, go all of the techniques, but do the breathing, calm down, and breathe through it, and then go about acknowledging the positive emotion. Because you see, someone once said that there is a lot of beauty in sadness. Like, we have someone that's dying or someone that has died, and we're sad over that. There's a lot of beauty in sadness. And if you are to look a piece of dancing, a piece of, I don't know if Dancing with the Stars or the other contemporary dance or a ballet dance, where they have their theme of that dance is it's something that was sad and something that was difficult in their life. When they begin to express that in an art form, there's a lot of beauty in that. So not everything is just good or bad. Well, hurting people and taking other people's life, that's a no-no. I mean, that's as simple as that. That's a no-no. But even sadness has beauty in it. And when we begin to understand that we are grieving, maybe that helps us a little bit to have a bit of a smoother ride through the day, because each day it's a new day, and each day the sun shines somewhere. Every single day the sun shines somewhere. And if we are in a position that we've lost someone or we're about to lose someone, what hurts most is the fact that the love that we have for that someone that we've lost, that we're losing, this giving that love, we think of it and we perceive it as being cut off, but we can continue to give this love without that person being present. Now, I may take a little bit of training to do on that, and meditation and other spiritual practices to understand, to be able to do this, but it's doable. So you don't have to go through a whole lot of training, but you can kind of go, it's like, oh, so I can continue to love that person even if they're not here? Yes. So you're going to have love and sadness all at the same time. And that's how it goes. It's not one or another, unless you take someone's life. So no, we don't take other people's lives. We're not animals. I mean, we are, but we're evolved. We're evolved animals. Now we use computers. We have algorithms. We're civilized. So what we can do for everybody else that's in pain and they have this need to destroy life, we can pray, meditate, whatever your form of conscious contribution to that 1% is, that's going to be your form. Now, getting together at healing circles physically in groups now, it's a bit more complicated nowadays. You can do it over Zoom. You can do it like right now live. You can do that, and there are other ways to do it. But even doing it in the privacy of your home, in the privacy of just you with you, you can still do it, and it counts. It counts. Send love, send gratitude, send something. Like with this young man that shot a lot of people in Highland Park yesterday. Maybe we can send some love to his mother. What is that mother going through? As much anger and hate we have for him that he's done, the unspeakable. His mother, that she raised him, she didn't raise him to do this, no way. So there is a little, in every situation, there is a little bit of something where we can send peace, love, good thoughts, right? Or have an intention that may God bless them, may God help them, if you believe in God. Some people don't. It doesn't matter. Good thoughts turn into good deeds. So as long as you have good thoughts, I'm happy to have you with me as long as you have good thoughts. Randy?
Well, I could end it with this, just that would add to that with the story. It's a true story. You can Google it. I don't know all the facts all at the top of my head, like dates and numbers, but because I'm old, I forget that stuff. But a few years ago, there was a horrific massacre at an Amish school, excuse me, where it's kind of the same thing happens. It's become so familiar to us. Say, but some deranged person walked in and killed, I think it was 12 or 13 Amish children that were in first or second grade. It was just this horrible, horrible event. I think he killed himself. I'm pretty sure. Horrible tragedy. And you know, the Amish are the most peaceful people in this country. You know, they keep to themselves. I don't know a lot about the Amish, but I know a little just in terms of they keep to themselves. They believe in peace. They believe in love. They're Christians, a Christian sect, but I think they just practice things that I think most people would say were moral and add to the cosmic consciousness of positivity greatly. And what happened after that that horrific incident? The next day, before the children were buried, before the coffins were even picked out, the next day, they probably don't pick out coffins; they probably bury them. Anyway, the very next day, the parents and this is on the internet, you can look it up, you can research it. The parents of the children who were massacred, killed, made food to bring to the parents and the family of the perpetrator, because they thought just exactly what you were saying, Carmen. They thought they were suffering more than them because they had their faith, they had their beliefs, they had their God, I guess, and they weren't sure about this other family. And it's if you ever want to know what is the purpose of some of this evil, this isn't the purpose of it, but it is something that happens as a result. It's a very inspirational. And when you read that, when I've read it, it's like these are people that experience the worst loss a person can experience. And yet their first instinct was not to go and start massacring other people or to go and hunt somebody down and kill them. It was to forgive and to give back. And from that thought, I think to myself, what do I need to do to add a little bit to this world? If they can do that, then I could do something. I don't have to wait for a murder. I don't have to wait for one of my friends to be murdered or whatever. I could do something before then. But anyway, it's a very inspirational story. It's you can find it on the internet. I looked it up a couple of weeks ago. It's very inspirational.
Yeah. It's a good story. It's a very good story. So if we focus on giving good thoughts, good deeds, if we focus on giving that, then we will have a good life. Each of us have our own gifts, unique gifts to give. And it's true that your gifts are not going to be appreciated by everyone and everybody. And that's okay. As long as your gift is here to uplift humanity, go ahead and give your gift in the best way you can. As long as your gift is to pro-life, no, I don't want to get into politics, pro-life, pro-choice, and all that. It promotes life, and it doesn't. There's life and there's choices and all that. Go ahead and give your gift the best you can, and waiting for someone to appreciate it, it's a waste of time. That time and the thought that you have to give your gift to someone will be taken away or will be reduced if you worry about whether someone appreciates or not. When you do good. When you help someone. When you don't impose on someone's free will. We talked about free will last time. When you are there to help for the better, to guide, not to give orders and my or the highway, right? Unless it becomes a legal issue. When you do that. So give your gift. Give your gift that which you came here to do, and enjoy doing it the best you can, and forget about followers and numbers and people that appreciate it, don't appreciate it, because that can be stressful. So emotions belong to normal people, and civilized people, they know how to manage their emotions. So acknowledge your emotion, feel your emotion, don't throw it on someone. See, even happiness, even when we're very, very, very happy and excited about someone, even expressing that towards someone, it can be troublesome if somebody is experiencing loss in that moment. If somebody is going through and sorting some of their difficulties and they need that time to process all of that. If someone comes to all of that, happy, as loud as anger, you know, very happy, you might disrupt them. So even happiness and positivity have its place. So if you're happy and all positive and someone needs to go through something and they're a bit sad and they're grieving, let them be. Let them be. Through your positivity, you will find something to still maybe put your hand on their shoulders and say, I'm there with you. Yeah. A lot of people might say, well, I know how you feel. Well, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But you can still be there for them. So create ease and be kind to one another. And we will see you. We'll see you next week. And send us your questions. Send us your question, and we'll address it as best we can in a general way, of course. And Randy, do you wanna add something?
Well, that's good. I think it summed it up well.
All right, then we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining. And be good to yourself, create ease, and be kind to one another. All right. All right.